And the hotels that we got were just, a lot of them were just like bare bones, essentially, with bunk beds, because we didn't even have enough. There wasn't even enough room for like 2 full beds. It was just like bunk beds.
This is Worldschooling Q&A. I'm Astrid, creator of The Wandering Daughter. As a traveling family, we've spent 4 years traveling full-time to over 18 countries and 6 continents. Wherever we go, we try to learn as much as we can about the countries and cultures we visit. While we didn't coin the term, we like to call this worldschooling, using the world as our classroom. Each week, my husband Clint and I will answer one question about worldschooling and share our experiences of traveling the world with our kids. Ready to get started? Great! Let's dive in.
So we're rounding out our country deep dives with the final country. Today's question that we're answering is, how do I world school in Japan?
Yeah, this is a good one. We just finished this trip up this past summer.
Yep.
It was a shorter trip for us. Normally, we try to go a month or longer.
Yeah.
We were actually on our way to Indonesia, so we kept this only a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little different experience for us, but we still got to do a lot of things. We still really enjoyed our trip. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think let's start with some of the logistics.
Okay.
Let's talk about like getting in to Japan. And
yeah, I think most people are going to fly into Tokyo. There's 2 major airports that fly into Tokyo. I think there's some other airports in other parts of Japan, but I think the 2 airports in Tokyo are probably the most common.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, they have bullet trains that can take you to all other parts of Japan. So Osaka, Kyoto, and probably some other places that I'm just can't think of it at this moment. We flew into Tokyo, and then we stayed a week in Tokyo, and then we took a bullet train down to Kyoto.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our stay. So once you're in town, Tokyo has a really good metro system, like both buses and subways. There's it's not, I can't remember if there was Uber specifically or it was a different app, but it was tied to the taxi system.
Yeah, the app was called Go Taxi.
Oh yeah.
And there are 2 other like taxi related apps.
Mm-hmm.
But that was convenient for us because then we didn't have to like exchange dollars to yens. We just connect my credit card to the taxi app, and then also we didn't have to worry about like hailing a cab and figuring out where to go to do that. We just like, call it Go Taxi and let them know our location, and then they would come and pick us up.
Yeah, this was the 3rd country where we didn't really speak the language, the other 2 being Italy and Vietnam. And this was the 2nd country, similar to Vietnam, where the language was just kind of difficult, I think, for us. We learned a few phrases for the most part, but I think the other challenging aspect is that it's not Western alphabet. So it's the first country we traveled to that is a completely different
character system. Well, India also had that too.
Right. But that was, that's true. We can talk about India at some point. Yeah.
But I think it was helpful. We did a little bit of like Duolingo before we came. And the challenging part is for Japanese, the grammatical sentence structure is different than English. And so it's, challenging for us to like know how to rearrange that. And so we just learned to like some good thing, some small phrases like thank you, please, or like it's delicious. Just some things
love that.
To like some things to just like be polite and stuff. Tell me a little bit more about like money stuff. Like
so Tokyo, maybe a stereotype. We thought it was going to be very technologically advanced as far as money. So we've talked about this previous episode. UK is almost entire. I mean, it's essentially completely cashless at this point, and most things are contactless, so using like tap and stuff like that. We were thinking the same was going to be in Japan. Actually, Japan is more, I would say, leans more cash based than it does card based. So not even 50-50. I think it's actually more cash based. For example, I think a good measure of this is what is the bus system like in the UK, much like it is in the UK, you can just tap your phone and pay that way. Here in Tokyo, it was cash based. You're giving them cash.
The same was for
Or you're buying
Kyoto
tickets. You're buying
as well.
tickets.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, and just for those of you who don't know, the currency is yen. The thing that surprised me though was it was actually a lot more affordable than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Probably because the Japanese dollar is stronger than the yen at this point. And so
the US dollar.
Oh, sorry. The US dollar is stronger than the Japanese yen at this point. And so I think that helped us or worked in our favor in terms of like things being more affordable than we expected.
Because when we went, I think it was roughly a third less than the US dollar or something like that. So then it was a little bit more affordable for us. But having said that, the prices at, say, like the noodle bars and things like that were actually really affordable, especially when you compare it to the restaurants in the United States. What about lodging? Lodging is a interesting challenge.
Jeez. Yeah. So if you have a big family, that's going to be kind of hard because like space in Japan is a premium. And even for us, like we normally stay, when we travel, we normally stay at Airbnbs. And when we were looking at Airbnbs in Japan, it just was a lot more expensive. And so in our budget that we were looking at, it was like, oh, well, I guess hotels will work too. And the hotels that we got were just, a lot of them were just like bare bones, essentially, with bunk beds because we didn't even have enough. There wasn't even enough room for like 2 full beds. It was just like bunk beds. So,
almost small hostel. That's like,
yeah. So in every hotel that we stayed at was bunk beds for us.
Yeah, I think, where we talk about it being affordable, I think on the food side, it is definitely affordable. You're going to pay a premium for lodging. I think it's just, if you want larger space to accommodate either a larger family or maybe you're just a larger person, taller or whatever, like that's, you're going to have to pay a little bit more to get that. And we weren't there for long-term travel, so we don't also know if there are long-term options that are a little bit cheaper. But definitely for kind of the short-term travel, like a week at a time, the lodging was pretty expensive.
So let's dive into some of the etiquette then. Do you want to start?
Sure. So Japanese culture is a lot more, especially compared to like US culture, it's a lot more conservative, reserved,
polite,
very polite, respect to the public surroundings. So that translates to things like you're quiet on the bus. You try not to make much noise. If any noise, you do not eat while walking in public spaces. There are no public trash cans. That's not really a politeness thing. It's another issue. But there are no public trash cans. And so where you buy your thing, so say you go to 7-Eleven, and we'll talk about food, but like you go to 7-Eleven, you buy some food to eat, you stand outside the 7-Eleven, you don't walk while you're eating it. You stand outside the 7-Eleven, eat the thing you want, or you can bring it home, obviously, and then eat it there, but you don't walk around and eat it. And when you're done consuming that, like if you're eating it in front of the 7-Eleven, you go back in, you throw that trash away at 7-Eleven. You should not take that trash and throw it away in your other restaurant or any other convenience store. It should go there or take it home with you and throw it away at home. So there's a lot of like public parks, you keep your voice down, that kind of stuff. This
was one of those where we watched a lot of videos about etiquette before we came, and we even like read a couple books about Japanese etiquette.
Yeah.
Or there's one book that's like the manga lovers Tokyo guide that I really enjoyed, and she has a section on just like etiquette for travelers coming to Japan. So, if you're planning on visiting Japan, definitely take some time to learn about some of the do's and don'ts of Japanese culture to avoid like doing, making cultural faux pas and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. The other thing about etiquette is queue. Everyone queues up. So
Yep.
definitely do not force your way to an entrance of anything, or, if there's a queue, if it looks like people are standing in line to wait for something,
Yeah.
and you are going to that thing as well, stand in line and patiently wait. If that's a taxi, if that's walking down the stairs to go to the subway, you imagine like if you're used to like New York City or something, like it's a mad rush to the entrance, everyone goes downstairs at the same time.
Yeah.
No, Japanese, they will queue up and go down the stairs. So just be respectful of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think for logistics for now. I think there's some other logistics when we talk about like the onsens and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the highlights of Japan. I mean, there were so many things that I loved about it. What were some of the things that you enjoyed about our trip to Japan?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about um, the restaurants. I think
Hmm.
I know that we mentioned something else on air. I'll let you talk about that, but I'll talk about like the restaurants, specifically the noodle bars. Noodle bars are a fantastic way to eat in Japan. They are fairly inexpensive, especially for the family of four of us. I mean, we could eat for about
Yeah.
$20 US, which
Yep.
was awesome. I mean, that's about half of what we spend in the United States.
Yep.
Really amazing, like udon, soba, cold soba, ramen. You come into the restaurant, they're usually small. They look like bars because they're kind of, they have like a U-shaped bar.
Yeah.
And then there's chairs all around this U-shaped bar. And that's pretty much the extent of the seating. Sometimes there's a few tables. There are two tops around. But the server or the person that's delivering the food and then the kitchen is kind of like goes in the middle of this U shape so they can serve all the people that are sitting around. So what you do is you go inside. There's usually a ticket machine that shows you all the menu options. You pick the thing you want, you pay, it gives you a ticket. You hand that ticket to the person behind the counter, and then you sit down, and then they will bring you your food. Really efficient, really fast,
Yeah.
incredibly good.
Yeah.
We really like the noodle bars.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of that is this goes back to larger families. During lunch times, it might be hard to find a place to sit and eat.
Yeah.
Because they cater to the business crowd. That is their primary customer. That's who they are serving.
Yep.
And so you might and will probably get turned away at several restaurants when you try to walk in with a family of four, for example.
Yeah.
They might just wave you off, and they are not shy about waving you off.
Yep.
And just respect that. Go to the next place and try to find another restaurant.
So now let's go into the highlights. What were some of the things that you liked about Japan?
Yeah, I think the thing that I was a little bit surprised about, although I'd heard good things, was the food.
Yeah.
Uh, just the variety of
right.
food. I think we could probably each say a couple things, but one of my favorite things was the noodle bars.
Mhm.
And the noodle bars seem to specialize in, there was like ramen one specifically, there was udon, cold soba. Oh my goodness, so good. But a lot of the restaurants were set up this way, but the noodle bar specifically was like a U-shaped bar in the middle where people sat around, and then the the kitchen staff was kind of in between that bar.
Mhm.
And you'd walk in and you you pick the thing on a vending machine what
Yeah.
you want to order, you paid, and it gives you a ticket, and then you give the ticket to the thing, goes to the person, sit down. And like, I swear it was like 2 minutes later, they would bring out the food to you.
I know.
And it was incredibly affordable and like rivals all the like high-end ramen restaurants like here in the United States. It was so good.
That was a lot of fun, and we had a good time just like trying all the different things. Before we left, I read that this book. I feel like it was the Tokyo Manga Lover's Guide to Tokyo, and that book really like went into like all the different types of noodles.
Yeah.
So we had a good time just like trying all those noodles when we were in Japan.
Yeah, it was. I think that was one of the highlights. Oh, and it was incredibly affordable too.
Yeah.
All the noodle houses, even like the gimmicky ones, the ones that were obviously geared more towards, I guess, tourists or travelers, or not even that. They were just kind of in like they were in kind of more.
Are you talking about the one in
areas.
Akihabara?
Yeah. Like even that had kind of a little gimmick to it and stuff was still like really affordable and really good. So,
I think the other piece of the food that was affordable, and I'd heard about this before, was like 7-Eleven or just the convenience stores. And it's different than in the US because you can basically get a meal at the 7-Eleven or at a convenience store that's like, good. So we would do a few like dinners that were specifically convenience store dinners just to like try out the different foods that were available there. I think my favorite was the fresh smoothies that you can make at.
Oh, those were amazing.
7-Eleven?
Yeah, it was 7-Eleven. Yeah. Yeah, you just like you buy a cup of frozen fruit. It's in the freezer section. Specifically, it's for the smoothies, but you buy this cup that's frozen fruit, and then you scan it, you pay for it, and at the front of the counter, there's a automated blender thing.
Yeah.
You scan the code, put the cup in there, and it blends it up, creates a smoothie. Yeah, it was so. I mean, that part was really cool.
What's another food related thing that you enjoyed besides like the noodle bars and the 7-Elevens?
So I mean, we went to a couple outdoor market or a couple like
market
halls, food markets.
Yeah.
That was incredible. And
I really liked that.
Was it the one in Tokyo, the really long one that we walked down? Like there was a street, or was that in Kyoto?
No, that's in Kyoto.
Oh, Kyoto, yeah. That was amazing. Just this incredible market. At the end of the market, I think there was a temple. I feel like there was a temple.
Yeah.
Market.
Yep.
But or a shrine or something. But anyways, this market was incredible. You're walking through it in just stall after stall after stall. They all specialize in different things. One was like tofu skin. I forget what they called that. Yuba,
yeah.
So yuba, and then there was lots of yakitori stands.
The takoyaki. The octopus balls.
Yeah,
that was yummy.
Just like every stand had like some specialty to it.
Yeah,
no mochi really cool. Though. And Kyoto was famous for the mochi, and for some reason we didn't
get to make it.
Mochi.
It's okay.
It's okay.
So speaking of that, like, let's move into some of like the ceremonial part, because I think there was a food related activity that we did that was also kind of ceremony, right?
Yeah, are you talking about the tea experience?
Yeah.
So I forget if you remember the neighborhood in Kyoto.
You can find it on my website.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I have an itinerary for Kyoto, and I write it down in there. The name escapes me, and I don't want to like butcher it for the episode.
It's one of the like more popular kind of historic tourist neighborhoods. Just look up the Starbucks Tea House, and it's in that neighborhood. In any case, it's worth visiting. The weekend's probably super busy. It wasn't super busy for us.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. But we went there and we did a tea ceremony. Matcha tea ceremony.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Like, and I think the kids did too. Of just being able to like experience something a little bit cultural, and the the ceremony was a private one for us. I don't know why we ended up getting a private, but learning about like the role of tea and all of the rituals that are around that. And actually, speaking of rituals, I wanted to also talk about like the sumo experience you had.
Yeah, I've forgotten to tell her you were talking. about yeah. So this was cool too. It was like this Tokyo, right? We were in Tokyo. So just for context, we did a week in. I think I may have said this. We did a week in Tokyo and a week in Kyoto. But in Tokyo, I really wanted to see sumo. I grew up where I wrestled all throughout high school, middle school, and high school. And so I really wanted to go see sumo. Unfortunately, when we were there were no tournaments happening or anything. And so, which is ironic because literally tournaments happen all year round. But there's like a few pockets throughout the year where it's not happening. So there wasn't anything going on. So we ended up going to what's called a sumo stable. And there are sumo stables are basically just practicing. It's similar like to a dojo if you're familiar with karate or something like that. So it's basically where sumo wrestlers will do their practice and train. And so there are like serious ones where you can go and just watch sumo wrestlers do their practice, but you need to remain silent. It is there only for the sumo. And then there's touristy ones that are still like training facilities, but they have really catered it more towards like an experience. And we went to one that's like they served you dinner and they talked about sumo and there was some dancing and then there was some sumo matches, right?
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything more about that before I mean, I can talk about the other part, but yeah.
Well, what I liked about it is just the, educational yet entertaining aspect of it. Like we really did learn a lot about sumo and just like the rituals that kind of go into a match in the beginning. And you start to understand like it's not just, two guys fighting, but they're like, there's all this like training and ritual and preparation that goes into it. So
every aspect of this, I guess I can just spend about talking about this because
excuse me,
because it's something that coming back to Seattle, I have done a little sumo. There's a sumo club here in Seattle, and the thing I was fascinated with, and actually this is all throughout Japan. I mean, we got the tea ceremony, the sumo. There's a lot of ceremony in Japan.
Yeah.
And I'd love that. I mean, it is, I think, something that we've lost a lot in the United States.
Yeah.
For good and bad reasons. I think we are such a melting pot here. I think it is hard to retain ceremony because there is such a mixture of different cultures and backgrounds. But one thing that I loved about sumo was just the total respect between the two people and the amount of ceremony that goes into it. And, doing sumo here in Seattle, and they also focus on the traditions and the respect of the ceremony. It's almost, I mean, it is, it's like spiritual in a way. It's right. It's an incredible experience. So I'm glad we did that. And it was actually pretty accurate. According to what I've been learning since. So it was a great experience. And it's probably one of the more touristy things I think that it's in that category. We like doing touristy things, but it's definitely very touristy. But it was really fun.
Do you want to mention briefly what you did at the sumo club?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So I guess part of it was, so at the end of it, I wrestled. I did they invite like volunteers from the crowd to come down, and it's not a big crowd. I mean, there's probably like 50 of us in there. It's a small room, and we just kind of sit around the ring, which is just a sand circular ring. And so they asked for volunteers, and of course, prompted slightly by my family.
Raise your hand.
I went down and volunteered. Because it's a touristy thing. I had to wear this awful sumo suit, which was just horrible. But whatever, it was fine. It's part of the game, or part of the gimmick. But
there are several people that volunteered. For some reason, they put me at last. I don't know
Well, you
why.
gave the best show.
Yeah,
You
apparently.
almost knocked over the sumo wrestler, and then
Apparently.
he's like, "Oh, I got to get serious about this."
Yeah, they were like,
I'm not going to be embarrassed by a
yeah,
tourist.
there was like some, smaller people that volunteered and stuff, and so the sumo wrestler kind of just like
picked him up.
Yeah, they try to pick him up and makes a show out of it. And then like I come out there and the MC is like, I think you used to do something or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, like I go out there and I start wrestling with them. And then he's like, at one point I almost got him out of the ring. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna take this a little bit more seriously. And then of course he like kicked my butt after that.
Yeah, I might post a video of it in the show notes just so you guys can you can watch it.
But it was cool. I mean, I've always been a sports person.
Yeah.
So anytime I can participate, I remember Paraguay and was playing volleyball with some people, and I love being able to jump in and do that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love about Japan, and like I went to Japan in 2004 before I had met Clint. And so coming back in 2024 was kind of cool because it's like, 20 years later, and I get to bring my family. But the thing that I remember from that first visit, and I also noticed it in this, is that like the old and the new are just right next to each other, and they're like intertwined. So like what you were saying, the ceremonies are just incorporated into daily life.
Yeah.
And you see it in like the Buddhist temples, and people just like come through, or the shrines too. There's like so many shrines. So that was another highlight that I liked, was being able to visit the different shrines and learning a little bit about like their significance ahead of time, but then walking through. And we read up on like what you're supposed to do at a shrine, and like how to, respectfully pray or observe and stuff. So we did that a couple times when we were there. We didn't do it at every single one, but at least we were like, oh yes, these people are like, we can see like people bowing right before they go through the gates, or like, bowing and clapping before they're throwing their coins into whatever the box is at the shrine. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. I think like Japan is like known for being such a modern culture, but then there's like these small moments of serenity and stillness and intentional like prayer that I really like that balance.
I like it too. The ceremony they talked about is really permeates through the culture, and to the point that I'm sure most of them are not even aware that they are performing ceremony. But coming from an outside perspective, it's very clear. I mean, from the temples and the shrines to even just how like people queue up, and there's ceremony around that. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about onsens?
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of a ceremony, this is also another. It not quite a ceremony, but it felt ceremonious in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So onsens are specifically onsens, but they also have sentos. But onsens are hot springs baths, and sentos are very similar, except sentos are not hot springs. They're just
hot water.
Just hot water, yeah. Just a bathhouse, essentially. But these are bathhouses, so either hot springs or not. But basically, you come in and they're separated by sex. So you have a men's side and a women's side. All ages, though. So really, anyone is allowed in. In fact, when I was in the onsen, there was a couple little boys and then a bunch of teenagers, and then men way into their like 80s. So it was a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So first of all, I'll say it was absolutely incredible. It's very relaxing. You have very hot water baths, and you have cold plunges, like ice cold plunges. You have middle ground ones. There's places to lay out and rest. There's a sauna in some of them.
And then the onsens are set up so that it's also kind of an all-inclusive experience. There's not all-inclusive. You have to pay separately for everything, but like everything is in one place. So you can put your robe on and go out and order food at the restaurant and sit down and eat.
Yeah.
There's like a lounging area. So it's set up to kind of for you to spend all day.
Yeah.
In onsen. And
which I think we did. We ended up spending like an afternoon there.
Yeah.
Right?
And this was in Kyoto.
Yeah, the one in Kyoto.
Yeah. And we did also go to a sento later in Tokyo in the evening, just Astrid and I. And we went to a sento. And it was a different vibe. It wasn't quite the like spa-like vibe, relaxing spa-like vibe, but it was also incredibly relaxing.
In some ways, it kind of felt like a neighborhood. This is weird. It's like a neighborhood gym where like you go.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, you're doing your thing. Everybody's just kind of doing their thing after work.
Yeah.
And that like the sento was. But then, when we went to the onsen in Kyoto, and you're right, it was like that one was meant to be like, this is your day to relax.
It's like a spa, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the sento.
They even had co-working spaces there.
I know. Yeah, a little arcade for the kids. The sento was much more. You could tell it was much more of a social gathering.
Yeah,
because the men, at least on the men's side, there was lots of like little huddles of men kind of chatting and talking, and people that recognize each other. There is, I guess you can just research it. There is specific type of demographic that goes to the sentos late at night, because normally sentos and onsens are not tattoo friendly.
Yeah, so if you have tattoos, you're not actually the onsen we went to. Like, we're very strict about no tattoos. Yeah. And then the sento we went to had like allowed tattoos, but certain times of the day, right?
Yeah. Mostly late in the evening. So then so then there's certain people that come in because of that reason at night. Yeah. And I'll just leave it at that.
I think what I wanted to say is we were both a little bit nervous is going to an onsen with the kids. Like, we both knew that we wanted to have this experience, but then we're like, well, we know that you have to be completely naked.
Oh, yeah, we haven't said that yet.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with onsen or sentos, bathhouses in Japan, what is like, you want to repeat that?
All in the nude. So when you go, and because they're separated by sex genders, like it's hard. I think it might be hard if you were like a parent and your child is a different gender. You might have to find like a private onsen or private sento to experience that. But for us, it worked out where I was with my daughter and Clint was with our son, and then we did our two separate experiences, and then afterwards we talked about like what things that we liked and what we didn't like, and things like that.
And we talked about, actually going back for 1 second, a lot of them have an age threshold. So
that's
like
true.
Under, just say 5 or something, or under 6, there's no, like, the kids can go on either side. It doesn't matter. It's just once they get a certain age, they're only supposed to go on the specific gender that they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you want to talk about a little bit of the prep that we did?
So as I mentioned, we were like nervous about like, well, we don't know how to do it, and we don't know how the kids will if they're willing to, do this experience or not. And so we watched a lot of videos about like onsen and sento etiquette and what it's about. And there was one that was really cute. It was like a PSA, and there's like 3 little boys going to a sento. And so it showed like the process of like, this is where you put your shoes, and you have to put your shoes here first. Then you get your soap and your towel. And then before you go into the baths, you have to like shower and clean your body. And then there was like specific etiquette of like, don't put your head underwater, don't splash around, be very calm while you're there. So it was, and like, since it's a video, they show the kids in their underwear and stuff, and
they allude to being naked.
But what I liked was that like the kids can see like, oh, so this is how we're supposed to act. And then we also told them, like, mom and dad will be with you, and let's just see how it goes. Let's try it out.
Yeah, so we're obviously talking from a United States perspective. I think United States tends to be, maybe Canada too, but we tend to be way more conservative around.
A little bit, I guess maybe the word is prude.
Prude, yeah. Way more prude than I feel like the rest of the world is, or at least Europe, way more prude than our European friends.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't an issue for you at all. But if you're coming from the United States and you come from like kind of a background where that kind of stuff is not a norm in any way, you might have the same experience. Our son is pretty shy about that kind of stuff. Like, we go to the swimming pool or to the mostly swimming pool. We go to the gym, but the kids don't come with us. But we go to the swimming pool, and I grew up playing sports, so I am totally comfortable.
So I think we can both agree that like the onsen experience was like a positive one for our family, right?
Yeah, I think so. And additionally, I think the sento experience, you and I, a few days later in Tokyo, was also it was different, but also enjoyable.
Yeah,
I could totally see living in Japan and going to those regularly.
I know. It was just like that was really a great thing to be able to like dive into the culture and experience something that is so different from like what we normally do.
Yeah, and it seemed more every day than it did like spas here. Spas here seem like I don't know, maybe some people go to them every day, but they seem more like once in a while treatments. These seem like, there was a lot of people just had subscriptions to these things. So
yeah. So let's close out the episode with, how about we each share like what is the thing that would draw world schoolers to Japan?
I think Japan is a great place to challenge yourself from a world schooling standpoint. And what I mean by that is, it is a very nicely well-developed country that has a lot of awesome things, a rich history, and it also is, for a lot of world scholars that come from like Europe or United States or Canada, it is very different than our lives, like in the United States here. So it's a great one to go to. We know friends that have stayed there for months and months and absolutely loved it. And it has all the seasons. It's very beautiful. You can ski in the winter. So it has a lot of those amenities, but the culture is also very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree about the culture in that, we're so used to or just the travel industry in general, like really highlights or often highlights like European countries as a place to learn about culture and history. But Japan has all of that too. It has culture, has history, has like future stuff. I mean, I didn't even talk about like the teen labs experience that we had in Tokyo, but you can read about that in the blog post about Tokyo. But just that Japanese culture is so fascinating, and there are so many different avenues you can take, whether it's like cultural or whether it, like older cultural or new culture with anime and manga and all of that stuff that our kids were really interested in. So I think any world schooler should put Japan on their like travel bucket list, vision board, whatever you have, because it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, it just like Europe, it's got incredibly ancient history and some problematic history. So yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
I mean, we could go on and on about Japan. We loved it so much. But let's go ahead and end there.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of World Schooling Q&A with Astrid and Clint. Be sure to check out the show notes for any links we mentioned in the episode, and visit my website, thewanderingdaughter.com, to dive deeper into world schooling and family travel.
If you like what you hear, please consider supporting The Wandering Daughter on Patreon. It really helps us out and keeps the show going. You'll also get exclusive perks like episode transcripts, additional resources, access to office hours with us, and more. You can find us on Spotify or the podcast app of your choice. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can tap the bell icon to get notified when new episodes come out. And if you like this episode, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps new people find our show.
If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap the bell icon to get notified of new episodes. You can follow me on Instagram @WanderDaughter or follow The Wandering Daughter on Facebook. Links to these are also in the show notes. If you have any world schooling questions you'd like us to answer for future episodes, feel free to throw them in the comments or send us a message at thewanderingdaughter.com/podcast. Until next time, happy travels!
Bye!